There was a mass murder in Derry, New Hampshire back in the 19th century, and one of the victims was the devil himself. Got the story from Richard Holmes' wonderful readable book, Nutfield Rambles. Story happened in 1830. Richard Crispin, he was a cussed man, mean and stingy and dishonest. Lived with his wife on a hard-scrabbled piece of farmland on the outskirts of town. The Crispin's 22-year-old daughter, Ruby, hated the place. She longed to get away. One day she forged her father's name to a note and went to the bank to cash it. She wanted to get to Lowell, work in the mills. But the banker in town, he knew that Crispin would never part with money like that. And he locked the girl in a room and was about to send for her father. But Ruby said she knew something about her father that would make her petty crime look like nothing. Go get the constable and she'd tell him the story. And so the authorities came. And Ruby told this story. Traveling salesperson stopped by the farm a couple years before. Salesperson had an inventory of jewelry that no one at the farm could afford. He asked if he might spend the night. A price was agreed upon, and at supper that evening, Richard Crispin beat the man to death with a piece of firewood. Then Crispin and the family cut the man up into small pieces and took him to the basement and buried him in shallow holes. But it was summertime, and soon, Ruby said, the house began to stink. And so they dug the man up, or at least the pieces, and they took the pieces to the edge of the property, threw them in an abandoned tanning pit. Ruby said she'd take the cops there and show them. Well, not only the police, but the entire town descended on the farm. This was news. Almost at once, dozens of volunteers were digging. And soon they uncovered not the remains of one person, but hundreds of bones and skulls. It had been a mass killing. No one had any clue that this number of traveling salesmen had ever visited Derry over the years. It was horrible. And then somebody discovered the skull of Satan himself. They knew it was Satan because there were small horns growing from the temple. Now, this was the time of the Millerites and the belief that the second coming was at hand. Jesus would descend from heaven any day. The devil's skull was obviously an omen. It was the last straw. Richard Crispin was, of course, arrested and charged, but not with murder, but with stealing sheep from his neighbors. Oh, and by the way, Ruby never did get to Lowell. My friend, Binky Sears, felt like someone had slapped him in the face hard. He felt like it was a dream. He had put his hand out on the back of a chair to steady himself. Binky'd been late getting to the town meeting. He'd walked into the Sawyer Town Hall after stuff had already started, and as he came in the hall, Binky's old friend, Lemmy Berger, was addressing the crowd. He was speaking in favor of a warrant article to create a wildflower walk. The idea for such a walk had been Lemmy's dream for years, and that he would be speaking on it made sense, except for one thing. Lemmy Berger had been dead for 3 months. Binky himself had attended his funeral, and so as well had a couple dozen other people sitting in rapt attention there in the auditorium. And now Binky was thinking, this is a dream, it must be a dream, wake up, wake up. And he pinched his arm really hard, it really hurt, but he did not wake up. And this was not a dream. This was really the Sawyer Town Hall. I've died, Binky thought, or I'm in a parallel universe. He looked at Lemmy across the hall. Yes, it was Lemmy. It looked like Lemmy. It sounded like Lemmy. Binky's mind kept flashing to the sight of his friend laid out in his casket, his beard perfectly trimmed, At the wake, everybody commented on how Lemmy never in his life trimmed his beard to look that nice. Lemmy's cousin Ralph said he hoped God would recognize him with his new look, laughter, and tears. But this Lemmy, this Lazarus back from the dead, he had the old scruffy beard. Binky went to run out of the hall. It was just too much. As he turned, he ran right into Webster Webster, and Webster Webster was smiling and crying at the same time. "It's perfect," Webster Webster said. "I swear Lemmy is back with us. He'll get his wildflower trail, you bet. Nobody will vote against it." And here, Lemmy stopped speaking, and the crowd got to its feet, applauding. Not a dry eye in the house. Tom, moderator Curly Fry, banged his gavel. "All those in favor," he said, and a roar came up from the floor. "Those against?" And there was dead silence. And then there was cheering, and Binky fainted. When he came to, he was on the floor at the rear of the hall. Webster Webster had actually caught him when he swooned, had lowered him to the floor gently. He hadn't been out long because the blood returned to his head right off. When he awoke, he thought he was at home in his bed, and that, thank goodness, it had only been a dream. In fact, his first words were, "I was dreaming," and then he saw the half a dozen or so people staring down at him, and he knew he wasn't at home in bed. He tried to sit up. Okay, so what was the story? Well, at the start of the meeting, moderator Curly Fry read the warrant article and then said, "Well, folks, most of us knew and loved Lemmy Burger, and we miss him. But tonight, Lemmy's nephew, Larry Fry, is going to speak for his uncle. And Larry, as the family knows, is uncanny in his ability to imitate his uncle. He could get the entire family howling with laughter with his imitation. And tonight, Larry is here, dressed in his uncle's actual clothes, and he has a false beard, but I think you will be amazed how much he looks like Lemmy." And at this point, Larry, dressed as Lemmy, came into the hall from the selectmen's offices. The crowd gasped. He looked so much like his uncle. It was amazing. And Larry played the part to perfection, right down to the word golly, which his uncle used to say a lot. It was one of the most wonderful nights anyone in the hall could remember. Well, of course, except for Binky. That evening almost killed Binky.